Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video, I want to talk to you about a set of packages that we can use to improve our experience with Emacs. And this set of packages is specifically about the minibuffer. The minibuffer is where we interact with Emacs either to issue some command by its name or to pick something out of a list of possible options. And we will see concrete examples over here. The set of packages that I am referring to is listed also over here. It's Vertico, Marginalia, Consult, and then there is Orderless, there is Embark, and there are others as well. And I want to give you an overview of what these packages do. More specifically, I want to show you what each of them contributes to this system that we are piecing together over here. This text over here that you are seeing, this buffer over here, includes some sample configuration, as well as comments and links to my Emacs setup, where you can find more code and more commentary about these and related packages. I will include this code in the publication that will embed this video on my website. So if you are watching this on the video hosting platform, there will be a link in the description pointing to the publication that will include this code and this video. So let me dismiss this now. We don't need it right now. Let's start and see what we want to work towards. I will type mx. Oh, sorry, mx. And mx is the standard command in Emacs, the standard key binding, to bring up the minibuffer and to call a command by its name. This is the idea. What we are seeing here, this interface over here, is the product of two packages working in tandem. One of them is Vertico, the other is Marginalia. And to understand what each of these does, I want to disable them and then gradually activate them again and see how this goes. I have now toggled them off. I will type mx, and now what I see is the out-of-the-box minibuffer interface of Emacs. It is a prompt and then an empty space for me to type text in. Technically speaking, this works. You can type whatever, and if it matches, you hit enter and it works. It matches it and you continue on with doing things. The problem here is that this is not informative. It is not visual. You don't get to see anything right away. So you don't actually know what are the available options here. You have to have some prior experience, or at least have a hint of what could be here. This is the idea. Uh, if you type something which matches, so I have typed something here that will match a command, you will notice that you still don't get any feedback. For you to actually see something, you have to hit tab. And tab in this case tells Emacs to take what you have in the minibuffer, do pattern matching, find the results, collect them, put them in a buffer, and then pop that buffer into a window for you to see the matches over there. And now I get to see in a separate buffer over here, in the completions buffer, I get to see that I have 48 candidates, meaning that there are 48 possible matches for what I have typed, what completes that, what completes what I have typed. If I continue typing now, I will type a couple more characters. You will notice that I still see 48. So nothing has been updated live. And if I continue typing, again, no sign of life over here. I have to hit tab to tell Emacs to update the list of completions again. And every time I type something, I have to hit tab again. And it's this kind of mini game that you need to play over here if you want to narrow the list and see what the options are. It works, but I don't think it is as pleasant to work with, especially if you are a beginner, because if you are a beginner, you don't know what to expect. Emacs is massive, it has a steep learning curve already, and now you give me this kind of thing here. I am lost. As simple as that. I don't think this should be the default interface of Emacs. It is very good if you are experienced, if you are a power user, if you know what you are doing, then it works, yes. But otherwise, I don't think this is a good default experience. Furthermore, it's not good because you don't know as you type, you don't know if what you are typing matches what you expect to see. And so you have to hit the tab key over and over to get to where you need to go. And this is kind of laborious, it is kind of tiresome because you will be using Emacs for a long time and you don't want to be fighting with the mini buffer, as it were, to get some feedback out of it. Let us then enable Vertico mode. Vertico mode. Up, sorry, like this. And now I will type MX. Vertico does now two things, like what we see here, the first impression of it. It produces the list of candidates eagerly. So just by activating MX, just by bringing up the minibuffer prompt, I get to see the possible candidates right away. I see also a count, 1 out of the total count over here. And as I move up and down, I get live feedback of where I am in this list that I am searching through. This is the idea. So there is this immediate feedback that I receive, and this gives me more confidence that I am moving in the right direction, as it were. If I now start typing something, notice that as I type, the total candidates, so we have 6,800, etc. I type one character, it's now 500 something, 200 something, and 60, and you get the idea. As you type, Vertico updates the results live. And so you have immediate feedback and you know, okay, this is what I want, this is not what I want, and you can adjust accordingly. And then once you have typed enough, you can just select what you want, hit enter, and continue on with what you were doing. This is the idea. Let's disable Vertico mode 1 second and see something here. I will type MX over here and I will do again the consult thing and I will hit tab. And what I get now is the completion candidates. Technically, the same information because Vertico builds on top of this. So Vertico doesn't reinvent anything. It just improves the interface. So this is technically the same information. It works. But now I get the results in a grid. So I have to scan in 2 dimensions. I have to scan the rows, I have to scan the columns, and hopefully find what I am looking for. And I think while this is an economical use of space, it is not an economical use of my attention span. Because now it is just forcing me to see everywhere and try to find something. My problem is not space. My problem is focus. So I appreciate what Vertico does here because Vertico is more mindful in that regard. It's just putting them in a vertical layout by default, one candidate per line, and now you can focus and you can see what you have over there. Of course, you can configure the default to also be in one column, and I think that's a better option. But the other issues with the lack of feedback persist, the lack of live updates and stuff. Whereas with Vertigo, we get this. Now, you will notice that this is nice, this is effective, it works, I like it, focused, responsive, very good. Live feedback, all that. But now I have all this empty space. This is real estate that could be screen real estate that could be put to good use. And thankfully, we have a very good use case for it, which is marginalia mode. Marginalia mode. I am enabling the mode now. So I will do MX again. And you will now see that I have a more informative presentation here. This is rich content. So I get what I had earlier, the vertical layout with the completion candidates, one per line. But now on the line of each candidate, I get more information about the candidate. In this case, I am matching command names. And so I get, if they are bound to a key, I see the key binding, which is very nice, nicely highlighted over there. And I also get to see a brief description of what this is. Like Vertico, Marginalia is also building on top of existing built-in Emacs infrastructure. These packages do not invent their own infrastructure. They provide a useful set of features on top of it. We get to leverage what we have, not reinvent it. And I think this is very nice. So depending on the mini buffer that you are seeing, depending on the prompt that you have, for example, this is the prompt for buffers, you get to see different sets of marginalia annotations. For example, for buffers, I get to see their size, I get to see the major mode, and also the file they have if they are visiting a file. Granted, my text now is small, the frame rather the text is large, the frame is small for demo purposes, so you don't get to see everything over there, but this is the idea. So if I do for files, for example, I get to see the file permissions and I get to see the date they were last modified over there. So depending on the interface, you will see different kinds of information, which I think is very nice. But if for whatever reason you find this busy, if for whatever reason you don't like it, you simply disable marginalia and are good to go. The thing with these packages is that they are configurable as well. I don't want to show how to configure them here. I think that's another topic. The point is that these are flexible and you can use them however you like. But the out of the box experience, the default experience, which is very, very, very important, is high quality. This is the idea. And I like them for that as well. Let's now move to another package, which is called consult. Consult doesn't implement a minor mode the way Vertico and Marginalia do. And it doesn't do that because it is different in scope. What consult does is it provides a set of tools. And these are tools for us to interact with Emacs in an enhanced way. Let me show you by means of example what I mean. I will type Control X B. This is the standard Emacs command to switch to a buffer. You have a mini buffer interface here. You can use Vertico, as usual, type something you type this, hit enter, and you go to that buffer. This is the idea. This works, again, it's totally fine. But the problem is that you don't get any feedback like, what is this? Is this what I want to match or is it not? Now, of course, I only have 10 buffers because I am doing a video demo here, a demonstration. So this is not a real world scenario. In a real world scenario, I will have like 100 buffers, buffers with similar names. So, of course, I cannot just rely on the information here. Or even if I rely on this, it may not suffice. I need more. I need more information to know what I do. Of course, I can just select a buffer and hope that it is the right one. And if it is not, go back and try again and play this minigame until I find what I need. But I prefer instead to use consult, and I have the consult buffer command over here. And you see the key binding I have for it. And consult buffer has this nice thing, and we will see it, of the preview mechanism. I believe all consult commands have the preview mechanism, but I may be mistaken. But I think consult, like one of the features that applies to all commands, is the preview facility. So with consult, we get a similar experience. We can select a buffer, like, with standard Vertico patterns of interaction, like I can move up and down here. But notice the difference here. Notice that as I move in the mini buffer, you will see it over there, I get to see a preview of what this thing is. So this is much more helpful because now if I have similarly named buffers, I can rely on marginalia as well as the preview, and now I get to see what I need. So I won't be proceeding through trial and error to find what I actually care about. It's right there for me, and I can just hit enter and go there. Notice, let's bring this up again, that I have 1 out of 115. So let me just use the regular switch to buffer command, and notice that the total count is not 115, it's 10. And this has to do with the fact that switch to buffer, the standard command, only has buffers as possible options there for us. Whereas consult buffer has another nice feature of consult, which is the multi-source facility that it has. It brings in from different sources and it groups them together, and now you can have a one-stop shop, a single point of entry for you to find what you need to find. In this case, the consult buffer command groups together buffers, recently visited files, bookmarks, and potentially other things that you can set up. Again, I don't want to go into configuration, but the point is that you have a one-stop shop and just a single point of entry. You go there, you find what you need, and you are good to go. And let me illustrate by example. I will do Control X B, and I will now type .emacs. .emacs is a bookmark I have for my Emacs configuration. And because my Emacs configuration is not in a buffer right now, I don't get to see it. So switch to buffer is the wrong command for this because .emacs does not exist as a buffer, it exists as a bookmark. So I have to cancel this, abort what I am doing here, type another command which is for bookmarks, and now type .emacs and then go there. This is the idea. Let me kill this buffer now. Again, if I do .emacs, it is not here. It is not here. If I do prot emacs .org, it is not here. Okay, so the buffer does not exist. But why should I do Control XB, find out that it is not in a buffer, and then go to another command and then find what I want? Why not use the single point of entry here? And if I type .emacs, there it is right away. The fact that it is a bookmark is an implementation detail. Why should I care about that? What I care about is to use a command and then type a few characters and go to where I want to go. I don't care if it is a buffer, if it is a recently visited file, if it is a bookmark. These are technicalities. These don't really matter. The only time they matter is when you are doing something specific with one of these different types of data. Now, this is the idea. Notice then how consult buffer differs in terms of interface. Let's use the standard switch to buffer here, and you will notice that we have the minibuffer prompt, and then below it we have the completion candidates. This is the idea. Now let's switch to consult buffer, and here we have the minibuffer prompt. Then we have a line on its own, which is a heading for the group, and then we have the candidates that belong to that group. So if I type dot here, you will see now that I see the prompt, the group name, so buffer, then what belongs to that group, buffer, and then I have another group name, another heading over there, bookmark, and what belongs to bookmark now. So this is the idea. And I think this is, again, very helpful. This is informative because there are cases where I want to differentiate the two, disambiguate the two, and match one or the other. This is the idea, and consult gives me this information. This, however, is not just information, it's not just a visual gimmick that you just have there. This is also something that you can interact with. For example, I type dot here and I have 3 matches here, but imagine I was doing something and I had like 100 matches because it is matching buffers, it is matching bookmarks, it is matching recent files, etc. So what I can do is that I can tell it that what I actually want to match is bookmarks, let's say, for example. So I type this, and then I will do the thing I was doing earlier, .emacs, and now I am only matching bookmarks. This is the idea. This concept over here is the narrowing facility of Consult. So Consult provides previewing, it provides grouping, it provides narrowing. And this narrowing is done by inputting a character, then space, and then you are in that narrowed field over there, and you see what you are, you see it over there, it is locked in. This is the idea. You delete back, and now you are in the widened view. You can get a hint of what those possible characters are if you do consult narrow help. I forget what is the default key binding for that because I have changed things. I think it is the question mark, but I am not sure. The idea is that you do this and you get an indicator there showing you the key binding and what the group that corresponds to it is. So if you type M and space, you match bookmarks. B and space, you match buffers, and so on. This will differ depending on which sources feed into your consult buffer. Okay, so this is the idea. Now, consult implements lots of different commands. One of them is the consult buffer command, but there are many others. I want to show you some of the more useful ones. Let's do this again, and let's do my .emacs. Okay, so I am here. As I said, there are lots of commands, but I want to show you, like, useful is the wrong word, rather the more common ones, the more basic ones, the more frequent ones. One of them is buffer wide search, that is line wise. So this is the consult line command. And you can see that there are almost 15,000 lines over here. And if I type, for example, something, I am matching what that thing is. So let's see, consult. And I am matching something over there. This is the idea with this command over here, this interface. And you will see that this has the line number and then what is matched in the file. And as always with consult, you get the preview. So if you move up and down, you get to see what is in that portion of the buffer over there, which is very helpful. I don't think this is a replacement for iSearch. And I did a video recently, by the way, explaining how to use search and replace, etc. I don't think it is a replacement, but it is very useful to have. There are many scenarios where you want to get an overview and have this interactivity. iSearch is useful if you are seeing something and you just want to go there. This is the idea, and maybe you move around a little bit. But if it's like for a very large set of results, I don't think iSearch is efficient anymore. iSearch is also very good for keyboard macros, but I understand not everyone does these. But if you are doing them, iSearch is fantastic for keyboard macros. Anyhow, so we have that. There is another command. Well, let's see it. Consult outline. So let's see this file. Let's see the total count is almost 100,000 words long. It's more than 100,000 words long. So I want to do consult outline. This is the idea. And what this does is it allows me to jump to a heading with completion over here, and again with the preview facility. So if I type, for example, consult over here, I get to see what I have. I hit enter and I jump directly to this portion of the file. And actually, this is something I use all the time. So consult outline, and I will go to the anatomy. There it is, very quickly. I don't need to think, oh, how far this is. I don't need to, scroll around and hopefully find what I want, and keep scrolling and keep searching. This is inefficient, especially for large files. This will not work. I'm still at the beginning of the file and I keep scrolling and scrolling. This will go on forever. Whereas you do consult outline and you jump directly to where you need to be. Simple and super effective. This is very nice. Now I want to show you another feature of Consult. So we have the previewing, we have the narrowing, we have the grouping, okay? But there is another feature, which is the asynchronicity of Consult and its ability to interface with external programs. One such external program is grep, the standard Unix tool to search file contents. So I will do Emacs consult grep right here. And what consult grep does, and generally what this family of commands that interface with external programs do, is that they have a concept of text that is sent to the external program and text that is sent to Emacs, to the Emacs minibuffer. So if I type now something inside of hashes, this is sent to the external program. In this case, this program is grep. What happens now at this stage is that consult calculates the results, or rather, it's not consult, it's grep. Grep returns the results incrementally, little by little. And consult doesn't block Emacs. It in a non-blocking way, in a non-synchronous way, it brings in the results and it updates the collection over here. So as we type, we don't get to bring Emacs to a halt. It doesn't block Emacs at all. We get to see the results live. Because what I am typing there, let me do this again. I will type something short so that you can see what this does. I type A, and you will see that my total count over here in the mini buffer increases. So incrementally, it adds more to it. Let me do it one more time and pay attention to this part of the screen. So I will do the consult grep. You see we are on 0 now, and I will type A and hash, and it reaches up to 26,000. This is the idea. So consult grep is recursive. From where you are, it will go and search deep in all the folders, all the files. This is the idea. And it is also project aware by default. So if you are in a Git project, it will use that by default. But the idea is that as results come in, Consult will update this interface in a non-blocking way, and I think this is fantastic. Now, let's type in something here. We have this, and this interface now is where we can input stuff to filter further. So I sent what I had to send to grep. It is within the hashes. And now what I will type here, for example, I will type file. Now this is sent to Emacs, to the mini buffer of Emacs over here. And now I am matching results over here. Okay, this is the idea. And from here, of course, again, with consult, we have preview. If we move up and down, we get to see the preview over there. Simple and super effective as an interface. I really like this. It is fantastic. One other thing, which is about navigation. You will notice that consult here, let me show you here, consult here, uses the grouping facility for grep. So it groups the results by file, okay? When you are in a situation like this, you can use the standard keys to move to the next or the previous paragraph, meta and the curly braces, left or right, and you will see that I change the heading directly. So instead of going one at a time, you know, this is sort of thing, I can do meta and the right curly bracket, meta and the left curly bracket, and there I am jumping from one group to the other. This is the idea, very helpful. Though, depending on what you are doing, it may be easier to just narrow further. But this is also good for you to know. It comes in handy. There is another thing with consult, this type of consult command. So let me do it again for you to see. I will type in my input for grep, okay? But grep is a command line tool, and we can configure consult to run run grep with specific flags. But we can also do these ad hoc on a case-by-case basis. So what we can do here is pass command line flags. I will do double dash. And this double dash now is what allows me to pass more command line flags to grep. One such command line flag is dash capital C, and I will give it a number, and this means to use two lines of context up and down. This is the idea. Of course, I typed something that has lots of matches, so maybe if I were, oh, sorry, if I were to do, let's say, defun, like this, now I get to see, you see, line 207, oh, sorry, line 207 here is where the match is, but the two lines above don't have defun. They are the context. And for me, this is very useful again because I can better understand what my matches are. I don't need this all the time, but when I do need it, I just do that and I am good to go. So this is the idea. And of course, you use the mini buffer then to narrow further to what you want. So this is very good. This is basically what consult does. There are other commands as well, but I think they are more specialized. It's good to know about them. It's good to try them out. But as always, start small. Start with 3, 4, maximum 5 commands. Don't try to learn everything. Learn the 5 commands, but learn them well. Incorporate them, embed them in your workflow, and then once you are accustomed, once you are familiar with that workflow, then expand from there. So build the foundations and then go to the first and the second floor. Don't start with the second floor right away. It won't work. So this is good. Let's go to the scratch over here. And now what I want to show you is orderless. This is for out of order pattern matching. Emacs. If I type, the way I have configured my completions is to use prefix matching by default. So I type con, and this matches any word that starts with con. Generally, for me, this is good because this is how I like to think. Like, because I usually know what I am matching, I like to narrow right away. But many times I don't remember exactly the order of words. So for example, there is this command called package install, which is to install a package. But is it package install or install package? And fundamentally, it doesn't really matter because if I type in space pack, with the help of orderless, I am matching these out of order. This is the idea. So you have one word, space, another word, orderless will arrange for those to match something. And this is powerful because you don't need to know exactly where the thing is on the line that you are matching over there. And this is basically what orderless does. Again, it can be configured to adjust the styles, but this is basically what it does. And these words here, separated by space, they are not actually words. These are, how do we call it? Regular expressions. So these are patterns on their own, which are regular expression patterns. So you can use them like this. This is the idea. I don't want to belabor the point on what you can do with that, but it is a powerful pattern matching style for Emacs. In the code that I will include on my website, I provide a link to my .emacs where I talk about the completion styles. Completion styles, where do I have them? Styles. So I talk about the completion styles over here, and I also explain my rationale. And there are also completion category overrides, meaning that you can have a different style depending on the prompt. Again, this is technical. We don't need to go into this right now. The idea is for you to get an overview of what these different packages do and how they are pieced together and what kind of system is this gestalt form that we have out of them. So this is basically orderless. Now, of course, there is powerful synergy here because if you use, for example, consult grep, So let's do what I was doing earlier over here. Then you can use orderless as well. This is the nice thing about it. So for example, I will type air and then not, and here you see I get to see this, for example. Native errors, blah, blah, blah. This is the idea. And for me, this is wonderful because now I get to combine the power of consult with the power of orderless using Vertico as my layout. Wonderful. Simply wonderful. I like it a lot. So this is it. There is now another package that I won't delve deeply into. It is the embark package. Embark, when it comes to the mini buffer, allows you to perform actions on the mini buffer candidates over here. So let's do Control X B, the standard command for switching to a buffer. And as I am moving here, I notice that now what I want is to call a command on this buffer here, on this candidate over here, so that I delete this buffer, for example. So I will do the embark act command, and this will bring up the possible things that I can do with it. And the idea is that I want to delete it, but sorry, delete is on K, yes. So I just delete the buffer like that. This is the idea. And I'm still back in the interface over here. I think one downside of Embark is that by default, it has too many actions. So you bring up Embark and now you have like a buffer full of options there. And even if you are using this tool every day, it's simply too much. Yeah, you get to see all this. And I have even configured it and I still see more than I would like to see. So it needs for you to configure its key maps so that it displays only what you want to see. But the thing is that Embark allows you to act on the candidate that you have in the mini buffer. This is the idea. And where this is really powerful is when you are, let's say, in a situation like this. For example, actually, let's do for Embark. For example, I am searching for variables that relate to Embark. And I want to go through this list. I don't want to select one, hit enter, and then do this thing again, select another one, hit enter, and so on. Okay. I just want to save what I have over here in a buffer, collect in the language of Embark. I want to do Embark collect so that these are placed in a buffer of their own. I will do it with Emacs so that you see it. Embark collect. This is the idea. Enter. And now what Embark has done is it has taken the mini buffer contents, put them in their own buffer, and retained the default action. So what enter would have done, it does here as well. So I can move up and down here, hit enter, and now I get to see that over there, and I can read it, I can read this, and so on. So this is very nice. Because this is a buffer, I can also save this in a file. I can do, for example, Control X, Control W, write file, you see. I can do that, save it in a file, and review it later, depending on what it is, right? It may be the output of something that you want to store. But generally, the value is when you get to retain enter, when you get to retain the default action. This is the idea. Another application of this is let's use consult here and let's use consult grep. Another application of this is I am doing this again is that you don't want the mini buffer itself. You want to take the contents and put them in a major mode that is appropriate for those contents. And in this case, the major mode that is appropriate for grep results is grep mode. So I will do embark export. This is how this concept is known as. Embark export. And what happens now is that I am out of the mini buffer. I am done with consult over there. And now I am in a grep mode buffer with the help of embark taking me there, from Vertico and consult taking me into this grep buffer over here. And this is something I have shown before in the video I did about search and replace, etc. But the idea is that the grep buffer, because it is a buffer appropriate for grep mode, has more functionality. One such functionality is that, of course, that you can click and go there. But in this case, the nice thing about it is that you can make this buffer editable with the help of the wgrep package. And by making it editable, you can now go line by line and make edits, or you can use a keyboard macro or query replace, whatever you do. And this will now make all the changes here. And then you do Control C, and it writes the changes to the files over there. We can see here what it did. So let's actually do this now for all of these. I want to go to the set queue here, and I will do, for example, this, and let's just replace it with set hello. This is the idea, and it will go through the buffer, do all the changes, Control C, Control C. I have written all these changes throughout all those files. This is the idea. I'm not sure if it didn't do this or if it did it, but it skipped that for some reason, but let's not worry about these. Of course, it's correct. It's correct because what I did is a replacement for setq in particular and not the others. The command I used wasn't for setq. It was for setq as a symbol. So this is correct. This is very good. And I got, like all these, almost 2,000 matches, I got to replace them in a matter of seconds. And now, again, think about the synergy. You have Vertico showing you verticality. You have Consult showing you previews and non-interactively bringing you stuff in. And then you get to this point, and in one go, you do refactoring. This is powerful. You just replace stuff very quickly. Simply excellent, excellent stuff. There are some other packages that work here, but I won't cover them. So, for example, there is the built-in recentf-mode, which allows you to keep a record of recently visited files, and there is savehist-mode, which allows you to keep your minibuffer history. And so when you type minibuffer history, the latest rather, choices will appear towards the top. This is the idea. So this is basically it. Embark can do more things. It can act on individual things, such as if you are here, you can bring up Embark to do something with this. But I think this is a more power user kind of thing. And it also depends on how you want to conceptualize your interaction model in Emacs. Do you want to use Embark and from Embark to select a command, or do you want to call a command directly? It really depends. I am not sure that with this interface we get something that is a strict upgrade over the defaults. What is definitely a strict upgrade is when you have Embark in the minibuffer and you export those and you do stuff with those. That is seriously good. That is really fantastic. But about this, I am not sure. Acting on stuff. Anyhow, Embark can do more, but this is not the point here. This is about the minibuffer and how we can upgrade it. So the idea is that with a few packages that I have over here, and I explain a few things about them here, you can get things done very effectively. This is it. This is just a few packages using the standard use package macro that you find in most configurations, and that's it. A few lines of code and you are upgrading your Emacs already relative to the out-of-the-box experience. I haven't included savehist-mode here and recentf-mode, but I will include them. So when you check the link to my website, you will find those there as well. That's all for now, folks. This has been a long video, I guess. I haven't checked. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care and goodbye for now.